what has happened, I think, as a result of transcendental meditation, certainly it's run concurrently with it, is a sense that I have now an ability I've cultivated an ability to step back from the phenomena of my life, from the mechanics of my feelings, and go, right, do I really want to lose my temper in this situation, or do I really want to act on that desire, or do I really want to act on that fear? And sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't have the freedom. I still do. But increasingly, I've noticed that the hypnotic power of the material world has decreased. Some of that may be because I've been doing the same thing for a long time. When I wanted to be famous, I wasn't famous yet. So for me, it could have been a solution. It could have been an epiphany. It could have been enlightenment, a revolution, a transition. But certainly since practicing regular meditation, the way I see myself, the way I see the world and what I want for myself has changed. It's interesting, isn't it, that the vast majority of our anatomical functions occur without cognizance, without instruction. We are sitting on this, when people go, what's going on behind the scenes? Are there Illuminati? What's happening? Perhaps because our whole body is run without our permission. Our kidneys, our gastric system, our cells are healing and reproducing without any knowledge of it. So there are obviously different forms of consciousness. There are different forms of being, even within myself or anyone as an individual. Meditation, I think, has given me a new aspect, a new facet through which to access that. So I always have to be mindful of pointing out that it's not like, oh yeah, I used to be like a crazy drug addict and a womanizer, and now I'm just basically sat around with a blanket wrapped around me looking at a cool, calm lake and thinking George Harrison lyrics. I'm not. I'm still I have it in me. I've got desire in me. I've got fear in me. I've got lust. I'm full of human flesh-based stuff. But what's happened is a neglected aspect of me has been awoken and cultivated through this meditative practice. Completed, I began thinking the mantra. The mantra vied with Palin and my jaw for mental supremacy. I stay relaxed and detached. I don't get aggressive about asserting the mantra. The temptation is to feel aggrieved that your own mind won't do your bidding, like Dr. Strangelove's hand saluting a disintegrated Reich of previous contemplation. The point is, though, the object of focus is not relevant. If I become attached to the idea of a perfect inward incantation, that is an egoic act. The aesthetics of thought activity are unimportant. In my experience, the mystical qualities of the mantra, by which I mean that which is not known, are secondary to the hypnotic effect of repetition. To me, it seems that eventually the busy, chattering monkey mind eventually accepts that all that is happening is the repetition of a word and just sort of fucks off to sleep. The Maharishi, and perhaps his version warrants more credence, given it was he that brought this technique to the West, described it thusly. If the mantra is the word rose, every time the word rose is repeated, the conscious mind, in anticipation of the coming repetition, moves closer to the unconscious source of thought which generates all mental phenomena. With each repetition, deeper goes the awareness that hears it in preemptive increments until eventually that awareness is submerged within the source and thus unified. The Maharishi's description is probably more scientific and prettier. Go with whatever you want. The great American comedian Jerry Seinfeld, who has practiced TM for over 30 years, puts it into typically succinct terms. It's like plugging your phone into a charger twice a day for 20 minutes. These two 20-minute interludes, one in the morning, one in the evening, also serve to remind me that there is more to life than what I'm doing and thinking, what I fear and desire, what I think of other people and what they think of me. During those times I experience something beyond those concerns, and it's a great relief. My friend Meredith, who is archetypically a wise woman, who if we were in a fairy tale would meet in a wood, said to me, "Enlightenment is already present. How could it be otherwise?" Meaning that the state of enlightenment, union, Christ consciousness or whatever must be present already in the mind, or at least the capacity for it. It's not manufactured or engineered. It is by relinquishing other stimuli or factors that this state can emerge. "The kingdom of heaven is within," said Jesus, perhaps in reference to the euphoric relief from earthly burden achieved through alignment with a pre-existing but unutilized frequency of consciousness that carries you to the bliss that exists beyond self. I experience that bliss when I meditate. It feels simultaneously relaxing and empowering. Actually, though, the awareness that it has been pleasant comes subsequently, because during a successful meditative experience, there really isn't a self to apply the labels of relaxing or empowering. I wish I had it every time, but even after 5 years practicing, sometimes my scuttling mind will not yield. The jittery busybody of my inner museum, cataloguing and caterwauling, applying adjectives and conditions to external phenomena that would be best left alone. An unexpected benefit of this process is an increased compassion for others, a dawning recognition of the connection between us all. Since meditating, I feel that the intuitive connection to others that I've always felt has somehow been enhanced. I'm lucky in that I have a mother who is pathologically loving and gentle, who unfussily loves animals and children and tries to see the good in everyone, thank God, because in my case it was pretty well hidden. This perhaps inherited positive trait, though, was redundant and unexpressed for much of my life as I was entangled in the sparkles and the spangles, mangled in the crackling drudge, addicted to attention and drugs. Since I've been clean and have increasingly made spiritual pursuits my priority, these neglected traits have become more and more definite. Don't get me wrong, erring is for me a daily occurrence. Each evening when I reflect on the day's events, like a match of the day highlight show, which is just about the stuff I've done, there's usually 1 or 2 clips where I wince at my selfishness or missed opportunities to move closer to the source. For example, part of the program I follow is to each day try to do something for someone else. If that seems gallingly obvious to you, you are likely not an addict. I can quite easily, if not guided by higher intention, spend the whole day just pursuing things for myself. Being nice to your cat or husband doesn't count. Those immediate tribal alliances could be regarded as self-serving, in that it's like pruning the garden of your life. You live in these relationships as surely as you live in your house. Maintenance is a necessity. I mean general kindness to others in the spirit of service. This can include, for someone in my position, aiding, advising and supporting other recovering drug addicts and alcoholics, taking time to help them with their frankly incessant problems and quandaries, knowing that some other poor recovering drunk will have to listen to mine. It can also mean helping strangers and people that circumstances put in your way but of no obvious benefit to you, what used to be called civility, carrying bags, opening doors, giving up seats, putting others before yourself. I've begun to understand that in doing these things I ameliorate the invisible boundaries that imprison me in my head. If I prioritise the needs of others, even in small ways, above my own needs, the illusion of my material individual self being supreme subtly begins to break down. There is a great relief in this, as we are designed to live in communities and tribes, but these systems have in our culture for various reasons broken down, and we feel lonely as a result because we are detached from nature. I don't mean nature as in a bunch of trees and rivers, although they're nice too. I mean nature as in our own nature. We are nature. We are a part of the whole, connected to the whole, like old Edgar saw from the moon. We are all one on a speck of dust in a shaft of light. When I live in the illusion of a separate self, the part of me that knows I am at one with all phenomena feels starved and bereft. These dopey little acts of kindness move me back towards the truth.